Hi, everybody. This is Chris,
And this is Matt.
and this is Ascendancy. This is not a review because we don't
No.
do reviews here, do we, Matt?
No, we have far too many feelings to do an accurate review of anything, and foibles and shortcomings and lives. It's just we're just not
And
we're
we've
not
always
fit.
said, we have something that happened that brings me back to one of the things we originally said this was a book club.
Yes.
Why we say what we're going to do next month, so maybe you'll play along with us. Somebody on the Reddit posted an amazing Bard's Tale and Wizardry thing that they went into playing because of our reviews, or not reviews, discussions.
Oh, yeah, because of our book club format discussions,
Book club
which was
format.
great. I loved it.
I was so good. And so I just want to say somebody did it. He's like, I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do. Yes, it's exactly what we've always wanted you guys to do. Go have a conversation. Maybe we'll join in, maybe we'll not, because we kind of have, the big soapbox here to say what we have to say right into the camera. But
Right.
we hope the rest of you will be doing the same. And today, maybe, this is not necessarily the game to reinforce that on, because maybe you don't want to play this one.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably people out there who are like, this game is, we always say every game is for somebody, and I'm
Yes.
sure Ascendancy is for somebody, but those people are not, you and me, unfortunately.
I'm gonna start it going here in the background.
Yeah, let's
It's gonna
get
play
it
the
going.
intro.
So Ascendancy won my heart immediately because of two things. One, the manual tells you you don't need to read this manual right away. And I was like, "Oh, I'm home. This is it. This is the 4X for me." And then so I did the tutorial, and the tutorial is fantastic.
The tutorial is it is definitely a tutorial and not a manual, and you'll get to see it here in the video.
Yeah.
But so that's sort of my problem, though. If I want to reference something, it's not always in the manual. It's only in the tutorial, and because it's a tutorial, it's not just go look it up.
Right, it's not a reference. They expect you to watch it and retain it or go back to it. And so yeah. So as like an instruction method, ultimately it did fail, but to be faced with that, and the tutorial is so weird. Well, we'll talk about it later, right? Because you're going to show it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I also did like the introduction. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this Carl Sagan style introduction.
Mm-hmm.
It's neat.
Yeah, I thought the introduction was really good. I had an emotional roller coaster playing this game.
Same.
Ultimately, the other truth about roller coasters is no matter how high it takes you, you're ending on ground level.
Yep.
And that
So true.
That is so Ascendancy. It did not. It maybe ascended a couple times, but it came right back down. Let's talk about the history for a few moments before we.
Yeah. Before we get into
Because it came out in
the nitty-gritty.
1985 from Virgin Interactive and Broderbund.
Yep.
Which is interesting to me. And developers were the Logic Factory. Why that's interesting to me, I generally like Broderbund products. I generally hate Virgin products. And if I had seen this before we started, I would have been so confused. And now that I'm done, like that pairing makes total sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason and Todd Templeman, I believe, were the developers of this, and they had like 3 games. It was this, an RTS game called Tone Rebellion, and then a mobile version of Ascendancy,
Okay.
which I will not be downloading to my Android device. Sorry.
We will go into exactly why. Right now we're just sort of dunking on the thing.
Yeah, we're giving a kick around, and there were high points too. Like I don't want to say that it was all bad.
No, I mean, like you said, we fell in love with it immediately. The manual says, "Don't read the manual. Like you do not need it." The help system is most of the time very well done.
Yeah, yeah, you can like left shift and click on things, and it'll give you information in the game, so you don't need to go look stuff up, uh, which sounds great. Except when it doesn't tell you what you need to know.
Right.
And there are a few times where it falls really short, and that just drove me crazy because then you're driven to go look at the manual, and it's not in the manual, and then you realize, oh, that's one of the things that's in the tutorial. Probably
That I should have needed, yeah. But if you don't know to go look for it, you've just missed it. There's no perusing later to find it or something like that. Not that the manual has no information, it obviously does, but it just doesn't have all of it. There's stuff that's missed. We're watching the tutorial right now, and I think one of the things that I want to point out, because it's not apparent if you're just watching, other than when it has continue tutorial needing to get clicked on, I'm not controlling the mouse.
Right. It hijacks your mouse, and you can fight it and try to move it. It's really a weird system. It like releases and grabs control of your mouse in a really strange way.
I loved that though.
Yeah.
I love being able to just take in what's happening instead of trying to do it just watching it.
Yeah, it was pretty seamless. And so again, like at the beginning, I thought that this was a genius way to teach me to play the game. And it could have been.
I will say I started off in Ascendancy knowing more on how to play it than normally when I start a game.
Yeah. Especially one of these Master of Orion style 4X games where there's multiple interfaces, multiple screens, different interfaces and things you can do.
Yeah.
What this game is it's your standard 4X stuff, right? There's a bunch of alien races, which is fantastic. There's like 21,
yeah.
21 alien races, and they all have different special abilities, which is great.
None of them are humanoid.
Right. That was a very interesting choice.
And so like we're starting off with this great, tutorial, no human races. It's just a truly bizarre space game to get into. Was so hopeful.
Yep. And you have the star map, and all the systems are connected by tunnels, like what do they call them? Star lanes, right? And some are red and they take forever to get through, and some are white and they're normal. And so you're dumped into this universe with all these different alien races, and it's basically struggling to control as much of it as you can and defeat the other alien races, blah, 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 blah.
You say that's the goal. The manual, like the instructions don't, the tutorial doesn't really tell you what the goal of the game is. And when you read the manual, you're like, how do you win? It comes back with, what is winning? Like,
right. That's some high concept shit. It's definitely not like there's no like technology victory or like all the different victory conditions in other games. I don't think. I never won a game of Ascendancy.
Yeah, but didn't you? I mean, what is winning? You turned
Maybe
it off.
I did.
I feel like that's winning.
Yeah, I did. I won every game of Ascendancy.
What a strange game. The only winning move is not to play.
Perfect. I have part of the reason I was thinking about this, like we always talk about why we don't do reviews, and this is no exception. I have a strange relationship with these 4X games because the way I end up playing them most of the time is I start a game, I go through early game, and then at some point I realize that I have some deficit to the other players, and I just start over. And I keep doing that, and I know that's stupid, especially with Ascendancy, because the dark secret about Ascendancy is that the AI is terrible, and you can always beat the AI.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything right. Like the AI are a bunch of fuck ups in this game. So that's totally an unnecessary approach. But I'd be like, oh man, they have a bigger fleet than I do. I should restart. And so I kept doing that and playing the early game. And like I pushed through it toward the end a bunch of times. But yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is the part I wanted to bring up. Master of Orion 2 came out the year after. And we've done a review of that. And we got some grief because we weren't glowing and gushing and loving Master of Orion 2 is the greatest game ever made.
Mm-hmm.
But we said in that, you know, for games of the time, the reason it's remembered so fondly is it did everything right as compared to this. And we'll go into a lot of what else this did wrong because we're not done yet. Mm-hmm. But what they both suffer from, like you get to the mid game and you start to stall out. There's a reason Civilization, that set of 4X games, starts you with a spearman and has barbarians. It gives you something to do in the early game. And there's so little to do in the early game. Sitting around waiting for the first factory to be built.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I don't
every
care.
time.
Every time. We're going to start a game. We're going to spend 30 turns doing nothing. Waiting for the ability to start building something to do something. And you're going to build a factory. You're going to build a farm. You're going to, you've got to build up to being able to build a ship. And when you research, you can't build a ship right away. You've got to research the stuff to build a ship. And it's not all in one research thing. The hulls are over here and the engines are over here. And so you're going to have to do 2 research things, which means you have to build a factory and a farm and then get to build your research center before you can even start researching.
Right.
Kill me now.
So, in my opinion, one of the biggest problems with this game is that the pacing is bizarre and misguided. So, like, you have that early game where nothing is happening, and you're just building up a planet. And in that early game, like the way I would prefer to win is to have a small number of really awesome planets that I've built up that can defend themselves and then push out slowly. But you can't do that in this game at all because your fleet size is controlled by the number of planets you've occupied. So early game, you've got to be driving and driving and driving and expanding into shitty, tiny planets with nothing on them just so you can build more ships, just so you can expand more, just so you can be stronger in mid-game.
I do not understand both. I mean, I understand the physical workings of it. Like, you need systems, not planets, whole systems. You can throw one person in a system, boom, you get a new ship. Have another system with 5 planets, that's one ship.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it determines how many ships you got. I get mechanically what's happening. I don't get gameplay-wise or emotional-wise or why you would be capping how many ships I can send out. If I'm building a ship, sometimes these things take 100 turns to build because you're going to do all the stuff to it. Then I'm not building factories. I'm not building research. I'm not doing something else I could be doing with that planet. So let me decide, like you said, do I want a giant fleet coming out of 3 planets? And if you punch through my fleet, then I'm done. And if you want to add some control points or something, like you can only have so many somethings to control the fleet, give me another way to do it. Let me, add control centers or something.
Right. Or at least make it planets. Don't make it systems. Like, that kind of drove me nuts because you can't, there were times I wanted to build ships without star lane drives just to populate my home system because there were like a few good planets in them, and I'd rather have 3 colonizer modules than 2 in a star lane drive.
Yeah.
But that doesn't get you anything. That's like not really.
And you can't be like,
benefit.
Okay, I'm going to do that with the ship now and then refit it when it's done because you have to wait to research the refitting.
That also drove me crazy. I should be able to refit my fucking ships at the shipbuilding place You know,
if you're going to limit me to
ridiculous.
3 ships. Yeah. Well, and there's the thing too. Like if they said you're going to get 10 ships plus your system number. Okay, at least I'm working with a number of ships to work with. You know what I mean? Or ships beyond, the reach of your things act more independently. Or there's logical things that will penalize you for not having more systems or not having your systems spread out that I'd be willing to trade off against. But just hard capping me aggravated me so much. And it says it in the tutorial, so my fault. But I couldn't figure out. I kept going through research when I first played because I didn't see that. Waiting for, I'm going to build a building that lets me have a 4th ship or a 10th ship or a something.
Right. You want more ships, and because they don't give you the thing to refit your ships right away, the space dock, you end up building a bunch of ships that are essentially useless after they do the colonizing, because at least I'm not the kind of person who's going to start shit with other alien races right away with a bunch of shitty ships that have like one weapon. So the other part of the pacing that drove me absolutely bonkers was the pacing of the ship resources that you can build. You start off with a small and medium hull, and they're very limited to what you can put on them. And because of the way that the game is paced, those slots are eaten up by engines. There's like engine, shield, scanners, miscellaneous weapons,
and you can put more engines on to make it go faster and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And so when you start, you're very limited to what you can put on your ships, which is fine because they're tiny. But then by the time you get to a point where you have a little bit of flexibility in what you can put on the ship, you have so many fucking weird ship options that I wish, like, I want to explore them, but because I'm so limited in my number of ships, I can't. Like, there's like things that attract ships together, things that bounce ships away, things that there's all kinds of really weird and maybe interesting, tactical things you could do.
But you gotta, we will eventually talk about, did you do combat at all? Because I did.
I did some combat. Hated it.
Hated the system for this. Right now, I want to pause here for a second, though. I want to talk about the screen. Because this is the planet colony map. And I feel like here's a good potential for something. I feel like this could have been interesting. And it isn't. Each of those colored dots there's a benefit if you build a certain type of thing on there. But you're not getting benefits for building neighboring things. So, just build the thing that's best for the dot. And
right, like blue is research, red is industrial, green is like productivity. Yeah.
And then white is just whatever you want. It's going to be flat.
Yep.
Black can't have anything productive. It's just tubes to connect. It's a waste of time. But whatever. And you've got up in the top sort of center there. You know what? Let's just do the whole thing. On the upper left is your research.
Yep. You have none at this time.
I have none at this moment. But you'll notice, and then the next one is industrial. And the next one is my agriculture and the growth of the planet. None of them are listed as numbers. You can hover over and click and find the numbers. So they're not hiding the numbers from you. It's not meant to be obtuse. They're just being cute with the interface. And that's my gripe all the way through this game, is rather than just give me the information I want, we're gonna hide it.
Yeah.
We're gonna make you dig to do the thing to play this game. You're gonna have to dig through several things, and then you get to play. And then we're gonna take them all back, and you got to dig again.
And mechanically, this planet management thing has problems. You can end up in a situation where you can't do anything else with the planet. It's just locked because you don't have enough outposts. All your people are busy, and it's not going to grow anymore.
You have to destroy one of your productions to build an outpost. Here's my problem with that. So, in the next, after those three, the next one is your population. The little working dudes are working dudes, and then the circles are how many dudes you can have on a planet.
And then there's like yellow dudes who are just standing around, and that's idle population that can actually do things.
Right. If you have an idle population, you can create a factory or a starport or whatever else. And then they will turn to working dudes, and you can't use them for anything else.
And that mechanic is obfuscated from you. So it's not clear. I believe what happens is if you build industry or research, or when you build things, people become occupied in those managing those resources. And so you need the population to grow so you can continue to expand.
Yes. If you want to add more circles, because you'll notice I don't have as many circles as I have places to put shit down here. If you want to add more circles, you add an outpost or a habitation center or anything that basically will up the number of circles you have. And as you research, things get more productive. So like a habitation center might add 2 circles. I didn't get to it, so I don't know. Outposts add 1. So factories increase production, right? So if I've got 15 factories on here, and I want to build an outpost, I have to have a non-working guy.
Right.
But the factory production is increasing the speed of the outpost, which means I don't know what that guy's doing because the factories are what's building my outpost.
Right.
Just let me build an outpost.
Right. And the only thing that matters globally is the research.
Right.
So this just becomes like what you really need are the space building slots, which are they're there. You just can't see them here. But like to the left, there's like 6 or 9. I think it's 6.
It's 6 or 8.
Yeah, slots in space where you can build orbital structures.
Right.
But really, the factories and the agriculture doesn't matter so much as long as you are maintaining some level of growth.
Right.
Like it'll take longer to build shit, but by the time you have 20 planets to manage, it's a pain in the ass.
You don't want to manage 20 planets.
No.
There's a thing you said, like you like building what's called a tall empire. A couple planets, but they're all really good. I have always thrived in 4X games of I am a spreader. I want my color on every system and every planet. That's how I've always played. Even when Civ has tried to like do things to take that away from being the optimum strategy, I still do it and win anyway. Because I'm like, no, this is how I play.
Right. Good for you.
I can't stand playing that way in this game because the UI and the interface to manage your stuff is so miserable. So to get to this planet, I mean, I'm going to hit play again here so we can get going. Like from the main screen, you can like pull up your, there's a way to pull up your planets and then you can scroll through your entire planet list, trying to remember which one it is and which you want to do there. And then you click on it to go into it and it'll pull up that. Or you can be out here, go into the star system, then go into the planet. But it's always like 2 or 3 steps to really get in there and do stuff. And
it's annoying because like especially toward mid game where it also prompts you when things are done, and that's primarily in early game how you get to the planets, because you're like, oh, there's free population, I need to go, which is great. Like I appreciate that. But when it becomes important where your planets are strategically, it gets to be a bit of a headache because you have to manage this goofy kind of star map thing, which I didn't really like using.
That was what I was going to say. The star map. I think if the star map was stationary, I would like it better.
They doubled down on the 3D aspect of these interfaces. Even I thought it was fascinating that even the research tree
Yes.
incorporated the same UI elements that the star map did. And at first I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." But then you realize it doesn't there's no reason for that. And it's stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, I can rotate the research tree. Big deal.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it forms this weird DNA strand. We'll get to see it here before this is all said and done. But it forms a sort of weird DNA strand of research where you got three at the top, and then you build one, and it unlocks a bubble here, and then you build another one, and it unlocks a bubble here. But now these two also connect to a bubble, but you've got to rotate to see how the connections work because you never know how they're going to connect, and so it's this spider webby dribble of research going all the way down, and
But
you never know. Like if you're doing Master of Orion and you're studying propulsion, you like I'm propulsion 1, I'm propulsion 2, I'm propulsion 3. Like you're gonna just keep learning propulsion techniques. This is I may learn something about research, and then the next thing leads to shields, and then the next thing leads to factories. Like there's not a path you can take of like I'm gonna focus on this type of research.
And the really annoying thing about that is, like, let's say you're getting your ass kicked somehow in combat, and you're like, man, I really need the next side. I need the large holes, and I need it before the Gavrom or whatever.
Yeah,
There's no way to find the path to the large holes,
there
is
it
there?
is. Not really. Not if it's further down. No, the whole point of this game, they're trying to make some sort of like discovery element to it. Like everything's new and discovering, and you'll get to see this. Like the Civ is like, here's your tech tree. Plan your course accordingly, and you know, this is we don't know what tech's out there. You know, like we
Right.
don't know what the things do. You get a thick Master of Orion manual that's like this is what a black hole generator does, and you can you know make plans and make decisions and be informed. The big thing of a 4X game is information, and to take it away from you undermines the concept of a 4X game.
I agree. Like it is, you do feel something when you finally get the thing that's going to build the large holes. Like I wanted that the whole game, and I didn't know how to get there, and I finally got there, and I was like, oh yes, that's great. But really, that's not the game I want to play. The game I want to play is I want to be a militaristic alien race. Here's the tech that is militaristic. Here's what I want to research to get there. This is my plan.
I want
Not
to be a
this-
science alien race. This is what I need
Right.
to do to get there. It doesn't necessarily have to, but yeah, it's let me be my race, not just take everything because you have to.
Yeah, and some of the like I think I played the Gavram most, and what they all have special abilities. So like every 60, 80, 100 turns, you can use it, and it does something. And with the Gavram, it takes their least populated planet and makes it rich. So my thought was I expand slow. When I get a new planet, I make it rich, and I'll have this awesome empire of rich planets.
That's a really good strategy.
Yeah, but the thing is, having a rich planet doesn't really matter that much because the only thing that's global is research. Like, yes, you end up being able to create structures faster. Like, I think I'm probably overstating how useless that system thing was because I'm really annoyed by it. Like, it does make a difference. Like,
Yeah,
to
I
have
was gonna say,
to have a lot of industry is great because then you can crank out ships faster and all that
Until
stuff. Like,
you've
that's
built
important.
3 and then you're done.
Right. Right. And then you're just like, okay, what do I build now? What was I saying? What was I bitching about?
Special.
Oh, the
units,
Gavrom.
the
The
Gavrom,
Gavrom.
and their rich planets.
Yeah. But you can't play that way because you have to play this game the same way no matter what race you are.
I will one up you. I played the tree people. I don't remember their name. I don't care. It's the tree people. Their special power is to inhibit star lanes and systems you control for the enemy, which would require the enemy to enter my star lanes, which I think happened once.
Yeah.
And
so when you use that, is it permanent, or is it for like one turn?
it's for a few turns. Yeah, it was a temporary thing. It's not a permanent. It wears off and then it's
A lot of the abilities are ultimately stupid. Like there's like this kind of rock lava looking people, and they can build on the black squares on planets. But why would you take that when you could take? I guess I was going to say when you could take the Gavram, who can make every planet rich. But if you're expanding really fast, I guess you could say you'd want to build on those black squares.
right. You might find more black planets,
But a lot of the alien race things seem kind of useless, and obviously I didn't play them all.
Right.
I think I played the science dudes and the enriching the planet dudes.
yeah. No, I just played the tree people and like was really pushing in because I'm like, okay, any second now, the game's gonna happen. Any second now. Because I'm like, I want to win the game. I want to see the end. I at least want to see a late game stuff. I want to invade a system. I want to see some cool tech. I want something. And it never happened. It just...
Yeah. And by the time you get to the point where you're fighting wars, the combat interface is so bad that it's just like disheartening. And like I said, like I had the ability to make a ton of different ship modules that could potentially do some interesting shit. I don't know. But by the time you get there with your medium ships, you just like don't want to do it because the interface sucks. It's the same problem as the star map. It's this 3D kind of thing, and you can't really tell how close you are. It doesn't tell you the range of your weapons. It only like beeps at you when it's too far and leaves it to you to like figure out, why I won't let you shoot this thing. And the way you select ships annoyed the shit out of me. I kept not being able to deselect ships, and I'm shooting my own guys, and like maybe it's my fault, maybe I'm an idiot, but I just hated it. Like it was not fun to be in ship combat. The turns don't make sense. It's really frustrating.
I think other species in the galaxy. I was gonna say we're almost done with the tutorial here, and then we'll see me play for a little bit. So like here's my thing with the ships. Here's my thing with the combat and all that. So you've got a ship, you're fighting. You finally decided it's go time. We're taking this guy out. I click on a ship. First I got to get into the system. Then I got to click on the ship I want to attack from. Click on the weapon system, which is like hidden in a little side sub menu. Of this is the weapon system I want to use. Then I click on the thing I'm attacking, right? And then it takes me completely out of that ship's interface so that I could select another ship if I wanted. But I've got like 3 weapons on that. So just hold on, Bucky.
Right. Let me do it.
Let me do my thing. Thing. There is a way to like auto do that, but why would I want... It's just combat should be the most exhilarating part of the game. Why have... like... Having the tutorial run itself is a good idea. Having the game run itself, why am I here?
Right. And like you can have your planets auto manage, which actually is appealing to me because I hate managing the planets in this game. But again, like if you think about Civ, one of the most fun things in the way you express your end goal is what you build in the cities, and like when you build the wonders, and when you know, do I want to focus on military? What do I want to do? And to just turn that over to the AI is like, in this case, it would have been better, but it's not the game I want to play.
Well, and to turn it over, like I didn't see it in the manual. Maybe it's in the manual and I missed it. I didn't read it too intently because it told me not to. It's sort of a passing mention in the tutorial that you press M when you're in the system to set it up to manage itself. But in the system, you don't see if it's managing itself or not.
There's no button. There's no flag that it's self-managing.
You
It's
got to go
terrible.
out to your system list and then you see it. But most of the time, you don't have your system list up on the side. You're clicking other things. So you're not seeing that it's a self-managed system. Just... Here, I'm just going through all of these because my kids were in the room at this moment. And I was like, I'm going to show all the races.
Yeah. I liked the way the races looked. I love that they all had theme music.
Yeah.
They all have different music. Overall, I liked the music in this game a lot. And it's cool that they all have different abilities, and it makes you feel like you can play the way you want, but I don't think that you can.
Oh, I almost forgot. So ships. I want my ship to go over there and start exploring the space lanes I haven't explored yet. I've just built it on my home planet. I've been exploring for a while. The space lane I want to get to is 10 away. I have to go into the solar system, click on the planet it was built at, click on the ship, tell it to leave orbit. Go out one more screen to the solar system screen. Click on it, tell it to go to the space lane. It will eventually get to the space lane because it's not going to happen instantly, and then will automatically go to the next system, where it will then tell me the ship has arrived in the system. I got to go back into the system, click on the ship, point at the other space lane, and try and remember, because I'm in the system screen and can't see the overall map. So now I've forgotten which is the next one I got to go to. I've got to back out, look, go, oh yeah, that, back in, hover over each space lane to find, oh, there's the one I want to go to. Boop, boop, send it that way, do that again. I've got to do that. That's like 20, 30 screens to tell my ship to go there.
Right. When you could just set a destination because the star lanes are known. Everything's known. Just fucking get there.
Yeah.
And it's especially annoying when you're in the beginning and you're in this rapidly expanding phase and you have no ability to refit your ships because you might have three or four ships, and some have expended their colonizer modules and are essentially useless and are just flying around exploring.
Yeah.
And then you might have one or two that still have them, and it becomes a real pain in the ass. I wish I could, even if you could rename your ships while they're out, that would at least help me a little bit. And God help you if you forget to answer the notification that your ship is in the system, because then it's just going to sit there. And the same thing with your planets. They're just going to sit there with no project doing nothing.
And maybe someone will in the comments go, hey, assholes, because we are two assholes with an opinion. Hey, assholes, this is how you set a far waypoint. But it wasn't your job to tell us that. It was the game's job to tell us that. And it doesn't.
Right.
So I don't see a way to do it. I don't think there's a way to do it. If there is, my bad, I guess, but also the game's bad.
Well, it's like the self-managing colonies. Like, yeah, they told me. They told me. I missed it in the tutorial. I should have, if I were a better person, I would have taken notes through the tutorial like it's my 9th grade algebra class and implemented what they told me. Sure. Or you could give me a button that says self-managed colony and I can fucking click it and be done with it.
Civ had that back several years before this. Yeah. Civ did it.
Mu2 did it.
Well, Mu2 is coming out soon. But I mean,
yeah.
Most 4X games, owe themselves. Empire did it. Civ is based on Empire. Empire came out in the mid-'80s. Empire had just build this shit. You know what I mean? Just do this thing until I tell you to stop.
Yep.
And let you do the interesting part of it. Empire had click on a ship, tell it you want to go over there.
Right.
Shit, Civ has an auto explore. Find the nearest thing you don't know about and go poke at it.
Hey, you know what the only thing more annoying than having to tear down your your shit because you've locked all your dudes into productivity and can't expand anymore because you don't have any outposts. Getting into the outpost race where your population is growing at the same rate and you always have free people and you have 30 planets and you keep going back and being like, oh, they need an outpost. They're going to get locked up. Okay, blah, blah, blah. 10 turns goes by. Oh, shit, they need another outpost. And just doing that forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is not something I want to manage in a game. It's not fun.
It's not fun. I thought you were going to say when you start getting new stuff, you tearing down old stuff to build new stuff. You literally have to destroy something to build the new thing, and it's like, can't I just upgrade? Can't
Yeah, it desperately needed an upgrade. Totally.
And again, I mean, I would give this a pass in 1992. I would give this a pass. I'd praise this game in 1988. In 1995, no, you could do better.
You could do better. And they tried to do better, actually, with the combat. The Logic Factory released a module that improves the enemy AI, so it's not so easy. But I didn't try it because I didn't care enough, because I didn't like the combat and I didn't like the game. I didn't try it.
Maybe it would say the AI,
maybe it would make it great.
I don't care about the AI. Like the AI, the AI is bad. Do not get me wrong. Like you're like, I don't want to start shit with stuff in the early game. I'm like, I see the first guys here, these reptilian guys who are literally say we're warlike. No, you're not going anywhere near my systems. If I see you, I'm dropping weapons on you as fast as I can, and we'll see how bad this goes, because that's part of the game. They never fired back. They just kept running, and I then had to try and catch up, and eventually got sick of trying to catch up. Just parked myself at one spot and went, I guess this is what we do now, because it's not fun.
Yeah. You were on that ship screen a minute ago, and it was showing some of the weird shit you can build. Like that to me is such a missed opportunity, because a lot of that stuff was like kind of interesting. There it was.
Okay, let's pause.
Yeah, molecular tie down, intellect disruptor. Scrambler. I can barely read it.
Intellect scrambler, X-ray mega glasses, a cloaker, a starling drive, a positron bouncer. I don't know what the bottom thing is.
And like, those aren't weapons. Those just do interesting things to other ships.
Game had so much potential with all this stuff. Like,
but look how many slots you have. So here's what you have on your ship. You have 2 weapons, a shield, a starlane drive, a colonizer, 2 engines, 2 scoops, and a scanner. What else are you gonna? Where's the fucking positron bouncer gonna go?
Yeah,
and it's because you're not gonna get big ships for another 500 turns probably.
Yeah, I could take the colonizer off, but then I can't colonize ships. And you need to be doing that. In fact, I think what I ended up doing with some of these ships is, once I realized I didn't have to fight, I stripped every weapon and scanner off, and just, how many colony modules can I put on a ship?
Totally, me too.
And did not fear that there was going to be any repercussions.
Right. I was trying to walk this balance at first between ships that are able to defend themselves and ships that are able to expand my empire. But toward the end, I was like, fuck it. I don't care.
I was like, should I have to send them out in like teams? Should they be guarding each other?
Right. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And also on this screen, let's talk about how annoying this screen is. So in the upper left, you have a graphical representation of the abilities of your ship. So you have weapons, you have shields, you have power, the bottom is power. What are the blue thing or the green things?
Engine speed.
Engine speed, scanners, and then power. No, it tells you one place in the tutorial what those things mean. And this is a perfect example of, if I use the built-in game hints, it should tell me that shit. It should say, oh, you have if I mouse over the explosion, it should say your weapon's ability is like 1 out of whatever.
Right.
but it doesn't, and you just kind of have to figure it out for yourself,
And
which isn't the end of the world. But
no, it's not the end of the world. But I'd say, oh, here's the problem. They tell you not to read the manual. This all comes back to that sort of thing that you really liked. But if they're going to take that onus on themselves to have us not read the manual, they damn well better give us the information in the game.
yep, and also you should put it in the manual. You should put it in there anyway. It's not in there. Like I should have a reference to go to. There is a really good website.
I don't
think
care
it's
how much
called
you play a game. Occasionally you poop and you need something.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. You can go to the Ascendancy manual website, which is where I went a lot, but still is not comprehensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, this illustrates perfectly. Like this is the largest ship you're able to build
To start.
And once you can refit them, it's not as annoying because you can kind of refit them. But it just sucks.
Yeah.
Like it sucks to have X-ray whatever and feel like you don't have any chance to even see what it's like to use it
Right.
until late game. And by the time you learn, you need to start a new game because you fucked up because you kept using X-ray shit. I can't read it. X-ray what?
X-ray mega glasses.
Mega glasses, and they were useless, which I'm sure they are.
I love the cuteness of the stuff. The intellect scrambler, the X-ray mega glasses, the positron scooper. There's a sort of cute technobabble, but also like what would just be a fun thing to do. Like there's a fun element to all this that made me want to go have fun. The way the ships and everything looks weird and alien, and it's got almost a 50s sci-fi retro vibe to all the art. And there's one of the other things I wanted to say. The art is good. I don't like the art. It's one of those where I can see it, I can appreciate it, I can like, yeah, those things look really cool. Why are my tree people using something I'd see at like a drive-in diner and like
Yeah.
like I don't know. It didn't click with me. It didn't make me I didn't feel like it fit the game's mood. But I appreciate the work that went into it because they all look really good and well done, and
Yeah, they're cool.
yeah.
Like the Starlane drive looks like a hot rod engine kind of thing. Like that's cool.
And I mean,
Anyway.
sometimes like one of my things, like the positron scoops, I was like, are those scanners? Like I always had to go back and like, what did these do again? Like it was
Yeah.
always a question for me. I'm a little nitpicky on that, but
Oh, hey, you want to know what else about the worst UI thing that this game does, in my opinion? The
listening.
most inexcusable UI transgression this game does, in
the
my
button
opinion.
that says play game,
What's that?
the button that says play game.
No, not even that.
Oh my God, what could be worse than that?
When you're on the research tree, you select the thing and then it pops up in the right side what you're going to get, but the help doesn't work for them. So you see, oh, I'm going to get X-ray mega glasses. What the fuck do those do?
Do I want them?
You don't know. You don't know till after you've researched it and you're on the fucking shipbuilding screen. That was so irritating. Like,
I know.
What's a logic factory? What's a global party? Like, what is this shit?
What's a scientist takeover? Because that
That's what it
sounds
was.
awesome.
Yeah. Like, oh, you don't know. Research it and find out what it is. Like, fuck you.
Well,
Just
if my
tell me what
scientist
it
had taken
is.
over, I would know.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that irritated the shit out of me. Like the help, it's there because it's going to be there later in the world building screen.
One of the things that is on me that's still an aggravation is this screen and the global screen and stuff. Like these all rotate. You can rotate them around and change their position on the screen, but you have to do it through the buttons on the bottom. I can't click and drag.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ding the game for that because it was 1995. We were still learning how mice worked.
Right.
Not totally true, but also kind of true. We didn't have standards for how some of this interaction should work.
Yeah.
But it is an aggravation because now we do, and it's like, man, this is before that time, and it's getting in my way, and I don't care for it.
Yeah, the problem you run into, and part of what's shitty about it is like, for the most part, you're clicking on an object and your ship is flying to the object, like the star holes, the planets. But when it comes time to do combat, it's not like that. And suddenly you think you don't just click on the ship and it flies to the ship, you click near the ship. And suddenly you think you're clicking near the ship because you've been doing everything without rotating the map. But they're still half a system away because on the other axis, they're super far apart. And you can't figure out why your ships won't, or your weapons are out of range.
So that's one thing. My problem was actually having to click on things in a 3D space when both you and the ship you want to attack have just emerged from the star lane and they're overlapping each other, and you've got to like try and figure out where's the pixel I need, and if I rotate this way, no, they're still on top of each other.
Yep.
And you should have combat in this screen. You don't go to a combat screen.
Like my
Master
kingdom
of
for a
Orion.
combat screen.
Oh my god. Yeah. I would. I'm not saying we should have Master of Orion level combats where I like fly around with a fleet of 75 ships to fight another 50 ships. I'm not saying I want that back. But one ship to one ship, where it's this tedious in and out of menus just to get through all my weapons.
Not good.
Not good.
They also didn't. The system interface should have been bounded better because there's times that the star lane is off the map and you can't really scroll it up and down. You can zoom in and out. There's a recenter on your ship. There's a way to do that, so it's not like a game breaking thing, but it is annoying when you're like, where the fuck, like, where's my ship?
Where's my ship? How do I get it to go where I want? Yeah, there's ways to do it, but it is. Here's the thing. If you're still listening, if you've enjoyed us so far,
yeah, we're being a bunch of bitches about this game today.
Yeah,
but I think it is a lot of nitpicky stuff, but it's all contributes to this being a bad experience.
Yeah, and I can, unlike Zorro, I can see a good game in there.
Yeah,
it's mostly the UI. And so this is sort of one of the, if you take nothing away from here, game developer guy who's watching me or wants to be a game developer someday, never, ever, ever, and I mean ever, make your user interface 3D. Don't do it.
No
if you're
reason.
Like, but it'll be cool and new. No, but I can do it well. No, you can't. Don't do it. Just don't make me click in 3D space. I've got a 2D interface. You're making me work in 3D. That doesn't work.
Yep. We're in flat world. Like, let's do it. Let's do it in flat world.
Does it physically work? Yes. Would you have been better with it in 2D? Absolutely. If you want to show me a 3D representation of it, oh, please. I will enjoy the hell out of that art. I will enjoy the immersiveness of seeing the solar system. But let me have a clean 2D interface and not this. Don't make me fight in 3D with a point and click, turn-based. Yeah.
Yeah. Awful.
Awful. Oh, and look how few slots you get for a small ship, by the way.
Oh, God, yeah. You can't do anything with the small ships. I didn't even build them for the most part. I just built the mediums.
I would to get stuff going and out fast, because that's always, like, again, wide empire, fast as you can get it. I'd do these three, and then I'd throw 2 colonizers on it and throw it out and just disband it as soon as it burnt its colonizers out.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean...
I think we've Rogered Ascendancy enough.
I
I think we
so.
should put it to bed.
Yeah. I was just looking to see if there's anything else we forgot or need to mention. System, click on ship. Yeah. Do you have a peak and pit? Do you have a pinnacle in the pit?
The peak was reading the manual and it telling me not to read the manual. The pit was needing to know information that should have been in the manual and wasn't. I mean, the whole thing was kind of a pit. Like I played this game.
What's your pittiest part of the pit?
I played this game more than I played a lot of the great games that we've played because I wanted it to do something, and it didn't. So I think the pit for me was after restarting so many times and finally getting into my first combat thinking, okay, like I've persevered through my desire to restart because this guy has more ships than me. And then doing the combat and just having it be awful and like, oh, so this is what the rest of the game is going to be, but with different ships, it's going to be shit.
Yeah.
That was the pit.
Yeah.
Realizing that there wasn't more to this.
Yeah. I think my pinnacle was seeing 21 genuinely unique, interesting races. Opening up that race select screen to start a new game and just going through. It took me a while to figure out how to move the scroll bar on the side, but once I did, just going down and being like, there's no humans. There's not even humanoids. There's everything is genuinely alien and loving it. Just like I'm ready to invest myself in this, and then I gotta say, like the pit. What is my pittiest pit though? Because like the pit started immediately when I'm like, oh, it's another one of those where I'm gonna sit around for 80 turns waiting for the game to start.
Yeah.
I think the thing that broke me was fighting my first alien ship and watching it just be stupid. And I'm like, I'm not even going to get a challenge. I'm not even, I'm going to go through all this tedium and there's no fun on the other side of it.
Yeah. Every part of the 4X formula is broken in this game. There's like none of it is successfully implemented in a satisfying way. The city management is piddly and annoying and makes you play this game of keeping your colonies correctly sized. And there's not enough stuff to build and it doesn't change often enough.
Yeah.
The combat's terrible, everything.
There's a joke about anybody who does any sort of development, writing, art, any sort of creative thing. If you're doing that, you will invariably run into someone who goes, I have an idea. If you did it, we'll split the money. This is one of those cases where someone had an idea, and the idea was really good. The 21 races, the 4X worlds, like the ideas in it. The lore, that is good. The implementation, the other half, is the hard part. As much as this idea is a good idea, there's 50 more in the wings, and these people probably want to work on their own ideas. You have to be able to do both, and they couldn't. But yeah, there's that. Like, I've got this great idea. I've had more great ideas for web apps or phone apps.
God. Yeah.
That if I just code them for the person.
Right. All you do is all the work.
But I've got the idea. Hey, Jackass, do you think I don't have any ideas?
Yeah, right. Right.
Anyway. All right. I'm emotionally done, and I'm glad we get to put this to bed now.
I hope our next game is really great. And for the record, this game wasn't all terrible. We made it sound all terrible because I think we're both really frustrated, and I think we both probably dumped more time into it than it deserved. But there, like, you could have fun playing this.
You
If
know,
you're a certain kind of person, you would. I could see people liking this.
I could see people liking this. I could see again that whole if this was my only game. Like it's 1995. My mom just brought home a computer. She brought home Ascendancy, and
because it was in the $1.99 bin.
yeah, Mavis Beacon teaches typing. Like,
yep,
those are your two first software things,
right?
and
Thanks, Mom.
and you're only going to do so much typing lessons. You want to play a game. Solitaire is great and all, but need something.
And like, I'll bet there's moments where you're like, positron bouncer plus like blah blah blah, awesome, like super fun, very powerful. Like you can do all this great shit with it. I just never got there. I didn't want to get there.
No, and what I was going to say is a lot of times we play our month game, our long, big month game. Not our short game, which we'll talk about in a second, but our long game. And we're like, man, we only had a month with it. We feel like we didn't get all of it. We wish there was more time. Sometimes the opposite's true, where we had a month with this game and it needed 2 weeks, but we had 2 more weeks. And so it bitters us just a little more than if maybe we had stopped at 2 weeks.
The thing is though, like I think in this case, both of those things are true. There is more to this game than we saw. Mm-hmm. There's a whole late game. I never used an invasion module. I tried, but I was not able to.
But is there, let's say I've got 10 ships. Let's say I've really expanded. And I've got 10 ships, and I send them out. I'm not going to have some great fleet battle of epic proportions of those 10 ships versus 20 ships, and we're all going to... You know what I mean? Like...
Right.
You're not going to have that high point, oh my god, this is the epic, battle for the Death Star, or, Borg Cube battle from Star Trek. You're not going to have that cinematic super moment. You're going to have a couple ships run at each other, shoot some photons, and then one's probably going to just keep bouncing between worm gates to try and get away.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Yeah. I tried the diplomacy. We didn't talk about diplomacy. Like, maybe I just got the asshole race.
But how fitting. I'm just kidding.
Karma, bitches. But I'm like, hey, would you like to trade star lanes? They're like, no, you don't have enough star lane knowledge. And I'm looking at my map, and I've got like almost the whole map mapped out, and they don't. Like, I know they don't because they haven't gone through my area to get to it. So I have stuff you don't know. They're like, no, yours isn't worth it to us. I'm like, okay, well, what if we trade tech? And they're like, we would be embarrassed to trade our tech with you. Do you want to form an alliance? No, we don't trust you enough. Not till we do more trading.
Ugh.
Okay, well, I guess that's everything then. Oh, here's this.
Yeah, this is the fucking research thing. Yeah, so like, let's pretend you didn't know what a star lane drive did. There's no way for you to find out in this screen.
Mm-mm.
You just don't know.
Just don't know.
And you want to know. Real bad.
And what does it go off to? Right now it shows 3, but it didn't show all 3 when I first clicked on it and learned it. Other stuff had to be unlocked before the other lines unlocked. So you don't even know, like, oh, this is going to unlock other things, but maybe there's something else you got to learn before you can fully unlock it. Like, no, nothing.
Bullshit.
All right.
I think that's enough Ascendancy.
Whew. Washed all the salt out of my mouth. All right, our short game in 2 weeks. Summer Games. Yeah, since there's no Olympics this year, we're starting our own. If you play this and post what you think's a high score or even a screenshot of it, let's get some competition going in either Reddit or Discord. Links below. Tell us what your high score and some competitions are. Let's see if some people can beat each other in this. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's have our own Lost Sectors Summer Games. We're
Right.
playing on the Commodore. I think this came out on other things. Don't hold me to that. So anyway, that's the short game. Long game.
Ooh,
You ready, Matt? I'm going to transition it in
I'm ready.
here.
I'm ready.
Whoop. Crusader, no remorse.
Origin, real-time strategy or turn-based?
I wouldn't call it strategy. A grid-based real-time action game, because you're only one guy, but it's sort of... It's going to feel weird to compare it to this because it is not the same pace. But it's a similar philosophy to, say, Hotline Miami, where the object is walk into a room and how do I kill everybody in it as a puzzle.
Aren't the dudes little tiny red guys, just like real small red guys? Or am I thinking of a different game?
I think you're thinking of a different game.
Oh, okay. We'll have to play that game I'm thinking of someday.
Yeah, figure out what that game is, because you got some real-time strategy with little tiny red guys. Are you thinking of Command and Conquer?
No. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know.
Okay.
But I always like a good Origin game. It's probably gonna be a thing.
So here's what I'm really curious about. I played this game when it came out. I played its sequel when it came out. I loved these games when they came out. I am terrified this is an auto duel situation.
Right? I think that's why we probably dogged on Mu 2 so hard, is because I think we both adored that when it came out. Then we came back to it and it wasn't as great as we remembered it. And
sometimes, stuff just doesn't hold up.
yeah.
This one I'm going into knowing there's no way this holds up. I think the only thing that's going to hold up that I remember really well is lighting people on fire.
Always a game element we respond to.
Yes, that is a game element that I can always appreciate. I don't know what that says about me.
Nothing good, man.
Nothing good. Nothing good. And of course, next Thursday, Deathlord. We're at hell.
We're toward the end of Deathlord, so now's the time to start, like, if you want to see what that's like, because I'm guessing most people who play Deathlord, like, gave up at some point before this.
You probably played the first, you never got off the main continent. That's what most people do. Like there's a YouTube channel that I saw somebody had a Deathlord video on, and his whole thing was how big is the world in old role-playing games. And he would basically find a coast, and then he'd walk in the direction away from the coast to see how long it took him to get to the other one. And so he did that in Deathlord, and he's like, that's how big the world is. And I just in the comments, I'm like, no, it's not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. You're on the first island, buddy. It's like, well, it's just meant as a joke. I'm like, I understand, but
yeah,
this is...
You don't joke about Deathlord.
Don't joke about Deathlord.
Look at the cover. How could you joke about it?
It's so metal. All right. Woo.
I need a nap.
I do too. I am glad that's purged. I'm looking forward to Crusader. If just to blow stuff up in a Judge Dredd post-apocalyptic world of enforcers in faceless suits.
Burning people. Well, good.
The assault shotgun. It's coming. This is going to be a total action shooting.
I'm excited.
You should be. You're going to like it. Now I've set your hopes too high. Never mind. It's an Origin game. It's auto duel all over again. There we go.
No! Is Chuckles in it?
I don't think so. I think this is post Chuckles.
Thank God.
Chuckles Revenge. It's coming. All right. Anything else we want to say before we wave goodbye?
No, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching if you made it this far, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Big thank you to all of you watching, sharing, liking, subscribing, suggesting games, commenting on our videos, or supporting us on Patreon. We appreciate all of your support and look forward to sharing many more videos with you. Thank you again.